their taxes and bailing them out when they gamble and lose. You can ignore the needs of the poor for healthcare and education. So media would appear free, but would secretly be controlled by one person and his family. You could wiretap phones. You could torture foreign prisoners. You could have rigged elections. You could lie about why you go to war. You could fill your prisons with one particular racial group, and no one would complain. You could use the media to scare the people into supporting policies that are against their interests.
Tune in Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time for Liberation Nation with Deacon John, where America comes to hear the truth.
I know this is hard for you Americans to imagine, but please try.
But it's out of work, or scared of losing their job. By the Nichols way. Cops are running wild in the streets and nobody anywhere seems to know what to do, but there's nothing to it. We know. The air, we got to fix the streets, our food, like the TV. We know things are bad and worse than bad. I want you to get mad. I want you to protest, I don't want you to riot, I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crying in the streets. All I know is get first. You've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has ended.
Yo, yo! Be here Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and here at the news with Jason Brentwood. Because when it's time to crush, it's time for Jason. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here.
This is Thomas, a.k.a. Mad Painter. I'd like you to join me Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Open Canvas. Don't forget to bring an open mind.
Yes, folks, that's right. Bring an open mind to an open canvas. Again, that is Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern. UFOs, together with corruption. This is Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here.
Now you can share the topics that drive the discussions of your favorite talk shows with TalkStream Live's topic-driven talk radio. List and promote real-time talk radio topics, or post the topics that you want to hear. Hot topics are tweeted and retweeted, and include simple click-to-listen audio links. The future of talk radio is topic-driven talk radio. Available now at TalkStreamLive.com.
Revolution Radio.
You don't see it, do you? How close we are to absolute chaos? The sick ones are sitting on their fat asses, eating and drinking themselves into a stupor, polluting the world without a second thought while it goes to the toilet. Nobody wants to do the nasty work. You know, the shit that we all just think about. Good citizens are just along for the ride, and then bitch and moan and complain about everything when it doesn't work out. Get it?
Revolution Radio, where we do the nasty work. www.freedomslips.com.
You realize you're caught in a dream. Adventure begins. Put your seatbacks and tray tables in upright position as we take a trip to the very fabric of reality. Join me, Andrew Barnes, for Adventures in Reality, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 noon at Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, where information never sleeps.
Is your data safe? You have the necessary information to assist you in confidently living through just about any survival situation. The survival in gardening, off-grid living, medical knowledge, or even natural or man-made EMPs on your list of personal concerns. You have your documents and your personal information in a safe place in your hands where you know where it is. Well, check out our preloaded EMP-proof OneDrive. Over 3 gigs of survival documents and how-tos, plus USDA offline food preservation website, and much, much more, including a surprise bonus we just can't tell you about here. With plenty of room left over to store your most important documents. Imagine if a megavirus or a computer failure took out your bank, or all the banks for that matter. Are your banking records safe in your hand? So when they get things fixed and repaired, you can say, hey, look, this is what I had. You have it, I want it back. Is your personal data safe? Family records, addresses, phone numbers? Well, squeeze on over to freedomslips.com. Yes, that's www.freedomslips.com. Click the banner on the homepage for the EMP-proof bullet drive to get the full scoop of everything that we offer. So, folks, keep your data safe for your peace of mind. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
All right. In the first hour...
Clayton, your mic's probably still muted.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Excellent.
Thank you very much. Have you got Jake for me?
I will give him a call right now.
All right. Now, in the first half of the show, we went through protocols 1 through 5. And Just Class in the chat room.
Hello?
Hello, Jake. How are you, sir?
All right. How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing well here. I'm doing well. But didn't actually have everything I planned on the show today. But I did have a backup, and I've been talking about it. I outlined at the beginning of the show, in the first hour, the creation of the Illuminati. In 1773, Mayor Amschel Rothschild invited 12 intellectual friends, influential friends, to his goldsmith shop in Frankfurt, Germany. These men formed the inner core of a world revolutionary movement and agreed to pool their wealth and resources. That was on May 1st, 1776, May Day. They hired Adam Weishaupt, codenamed Spartacus, to establish a secret society called the Order of the Illuminati, and their objective to create a world government ruled by men of superior intellect, namely themselves and their bloodlines. That is an accurate description of what is happening today, isn't it, Jake?
Yeah, and it goes back. I've been studying for our Sunday group and for my own edification the entire book of Hosea in the Old Testament and the 40s and 50s of Jeremiah, beginning about 43, I guess it is, chapter 43. But in chapter 44, there's an interesting thing that we're going to probably look at on Sunday, and that is that the people were bowing to the Queen of Heaven, what they called the Queen of Heaven. It's called that in Jeremiah. It's aimed at wives who are doing that, and it even goes back to remembering Ezra being told to send the women back to Babylon that brought that kind of ideology and idolatry with them, and they didn't do that, and it's what we've done nowadays. This thing that we have done in the, I guess they call it tolerance mode, or, the Constitution said that gave some openings for us being a melting pot. It didn't say to open us up to blending every religion on earth and to blending every culture, or to submitting again to a banking cartel, which was evident in Hosea's time, it was evident in Jesus' time, it's evident in the world wars we look at, which were funded and controlled by the Rothschilds. And as you said, nothing's changed. This is still the same ideology, but we've got groups that do it differently, and it seems a little more polished or refined or whatever, but it's still banking at its worst. And it's a greed factor. It goes clear back to, if you look at the Queen of England, it goes clear back to ISIS, ISIS, from the Tower of Babel. Again, a tower which God knocked down, much like he knocked the ones down in New York. I don't know if he used a group to set off bombs then, but he still knocked down the tower. And it was all about greed and pride. And that has been our problem from the get-go. You've got the Illuminati, and you got to be careful with that, because when you say that, everybody's, well, my secret society, what are you talking about? Oh, yeah, you're a conspiracy theorist. All these acronyms they throw at us, these labels they put on us for telling the truth. And I'm at the point right now where I think we got to tell the truth, and to heck with those people that don't like it. If they want to sit out there side in the flood and drown while Noah seals up the door, that's fine. I'm going to be on the ship. I'm going to get the idea that there's going to be a recompense for this, and I'm going to deal with it that way. We can't keep doing what we've been doing, and that's our fault. There is no Illuminati. You're absolutely right. They have had their finger in this pie ever since it looked like it was a viable thing to them, because we had a wonderful Constitution and a written-in tolerance for whoever, to try to be humane and Christian about the thing. But the problem is, if you don't keep a lock on it, some kind of filter, you end up with people like them orchestrating everything, and then we end up paying by enslavement.
Well, let me share. I did the first 5 of these protocols, and now, if you've got a Jew in the woodwork, they'll start screaming, "Oh, it's a forgery! It's a forgery!" But Henry Ford told us that the only statement I care to make about the protocols is they fit in with everything that is going on. And
well, I need to correct you on something. I have found this in the Bible, and you have to be very careful, because the Jews are of Judea. If you're going to be accurate with the syntax, Jews are of Judea. Israelites, Zionists, Ephraimites are of Israel. And Israel has been wrong and evil ever since Solomon's time.
now,
They have never cleaned up their act. It's always been the same old thing. They have always been greedy. They always got this banking thing cranked up. Nothing's changed there. And you got to be careful, because if you're going to say Jew and really mean Jew from Judah, then these are the people God's calling the remnant, and saying, some of y'all have stayed out of this mess. Now, that's not the totality of Judah. Judah has let Israel influence them, has let Ephraim influence them. You can plug in, instead of Ephraim or Israel, Illuminati, New World Order. There's a lot of numbers and names you can plug again there, it all means the same thing.
Jake, the DNA research that has been done has pretty well demonstrated what a Jew that wrote the 13th tribe, what he stated is that the Jews that you see in Israel today, the Jews that are here, they call themselves Ashkenazi. They never saw the Holy Land. They never saw Jerusalem. They came from the country called Khazaria. They were a mix of basically a Mongol mix that adopted.
They are Ephraimites. They are Ephraim.
All right,
very
sir.
Clearly covered in Hosea.
Now, the true Israelites, that could be me. We just crossed the Caucasus Mountains, turned left, my ancestors. Crossed the Caucasus Mountains, turned left, settled in Germany, forgot who we were, and they started calling us Caucasians. Then they called us Germans. I guess they call us Texans now. But the people that were there and listened to the words of Jesus are still there, but today they're called Palestinians, and this is according to DNA research. Many of them by the and Jesus told us it's on my. Okay, let me say what's on the cover of my book, Mystery Babylon. Jesus warned us about the Jews who say they are Jews but are not, are of the synagogue of Satan.
Well, that's a Bible excerpt. That's absolutely correct. The problem with that is you don't want to. These were Jews of his time that were supposedly Judeans. They were from Judah, the tribe of Judah. And the Israelites, many of those in Jerusalem, decided to choose that side because they realized that there was something up. There was a problem when Jesus came because he looked right in the face of the Pharisees, right in the face of the Israelites, and said, "You people are going to hell." That's bottom line. He called them, like you said, of the house of Satan. And if you go back to Hosea 400 years prior, you go back to Jeremiah, they were bowing to the Queen of Heaven, what they called the Queen of Heaven. It was a women's lib thing. They're blaming the wives for influencing their husbands to bow to the Queen of Heaven and paying homage and sacrifices and all that to the Queen of Heaven. And Jeremiah's telling them, you guys have messed up bad enough. Now you're really out because you're going to be forgotten. You're going to be left out of the loop. And I think we've messed this up by saying, okay, Jesus came to the Jews. He didn't come to the Jews first. He came to Israel first in order to be legal. But he knew before he talked to them, they were out of the loop anyway. But he had to give this to them and have them reject it, which they did. And almost as a total country. There's very few in there. That's why we say, well, and again, the term Jew is a very delicate thing that I think we misused. I think if you do the Jew of Judah, you're doing a people that really are the only ones that might fit in from back then, and it makes us, I know we're called New Israel, but that was God's original intent before he threw them off to the side like so much pruned bad stuff off the tree. It has been consistent. The Illuminati's not new. The New World Order's not new. They had it back in China. It's Taoism, and it ends up being stealth idol worship. You end up being your own God. Of course, that, that doesn't work, but it sets up your thing like we've got in this country right now. The politicism in this country is fueled by the fact that we're so egocentric. It's all about self.
Now, in the protocols here, what I just read, protocol number 4, and I want to redo that with you on there, because frankly, you're one of the few ministers out there that I even talk with, because you've got a clear sight on what the Bible was supposed to be, and even the Old Testament. It raises doubts in my mind that this is the loving God that Jesus talked about that's within all of us. It was like Satan was posing as the God and telling somebody, his followers, to go out and kill everybody. But in protocol number 4 of the elders of Zion, learned elders of Zion, they say that we shall destroy God. It is indispensable for us to undermine all faith and put in its place mathematical calculations and material needs. The minds of the ignorant masses must be diverted and given no time to think. Nations will be swallowed up in their pursuit of gain. Through speculation, industry will take from the land, the resources will slip through the hands of the people into our hands. The lower classes will follow our lead against our intellectual rivals, who we have already made cold and heartless from our economic blows. When the hour strikes, we will be their only guide. And it moves on to talk, we shall create centralized governments, and new laws will withdraw one by one all the indulgences and liberties permitted to the ignorant masses. Our kingdom will wipe out any who oppose us. We have no rivals. We are secure by the deep roots of discord that exist within the masses. We have set one against another, escalating religious and race hatreds over the past centuries. Nations cannot reach any private agreement without us secretly having a hand in it. The monopoly of industry and trade by our unseen hands is in all quarters of the world. Disarming the people is most important now than leading them to war. Our principal objective is to weaken the public mind by criticism, to lead them away from a resistance, and distract them from an empty fight that leads nowhere. The masses fall for false promises. They fall for words and show, not deeds. We shall pretend to be liberals of all parties, of all directions. Public opinion is in our hands. We shall sow the seeds of discord. We multiply national failures and cause public disorientation through chaos. The people will consequently fail to understand one another. Jake, this is what I've kept telling people. Divide and conquer is their strategy, and this discourages personal initiative that might hinder our agenda.
Let me do a political statement, if I may. And this is not biblical, even though it's following prophecy, but this is not really biblical. This is in line with what you're saying and this edict that has been put out for these people. I'm sorry, but our cabinet, whatever you want to call it up there at that White House, has a very clear agenda to develop a caste system much like some of the countries that have communism, that have, like you said, there's a lower class and an upper class, nothing in between. It is my belief, and I think we can support this with the history and the evidence of the last, 5.5 years, whatever it is, that there's a great effort to bring on the lowest of low classes, to bring in immigrants that are illegal, to put people down at the bottom who will not only vote for continuation of the system, but are so set up with entitlements and handouts that they become slaves to it and believe there is an Uncle Sam. And I believe this is totally by design, because then you have the Illuminati type or the upper echelon, not the corporate moguls, which is another error that's been promoted by particularly the Democratic Party, but and it's by people that have huge bank accounts, by the way, that say, oh, well, the middle class, has to be helped by our government because they have such problems. But it seems to me, if you look at it very clearly, there is a concerted effort to make a great chasm between the haves and the have-nots, and that's the ultimate communist goal. Is now you've got a small group of people that might be considered the have-nots or the haves that have control of the have-nots, and they require tribute in the way of money from them so they can keep their kingdom going and do the least they can for the people so they don't have any resurgence of power or, like you said, keep them divided, keep them at each other's throats, because if they ever get together, we got a problem. How am I done so far?
Yeah, if Henry Ford said if people understood the banking system, there'd be a revolution overnight. And let me add this, since you just said that, protocol number 6, under the title Debt and Propaganda, we will use propaganda to conceal the truth by pretending to serve the working classes and great principles of political economy. Our super governments will be promoted as a protector and benefactor for all those who voluntarily submit to us. Let's see, we have the most successful voluntary tax system in the world. We will increase the debt burdens and take the land. We shall enslave the masses through industry. Both labor and capital will drain from the land. Through speculation, stock markets, all of the world's money will flow into our hands. The masses will bow down before us to get the right to exist. We will raise wages and prices at the same time to complete the ruin of the industry and justify it as a decline in agriculture. We will promote worker anarchy, immorality, eliminate the educated class, and undermine production.
They've dumbed down the education system already. They've accomplished that big time.
That's right. That's right, and that's in here too. Now, what we're into right now is universal war, protocol number 7. Increasing weapons and police forces are essential to complete our plans. Besides ourselves, there will be others devoted to our interests. We must create discord and hostility and entanglements politically, economically, and through loan obligations throughout Europe and other continents. We will use the official mask of honesty and complacency, but we must use cunning in negotiation and our agreements. We will be seen as benefactors and savers of the human race. We will respond to every act of opposition through war. We will make war with countries that dare to oppose us. If countries collectively oppose us, we must resist with a universal world war. Our words shall contradict deeds as the best factor of success in our politics of secrecy. Governments must act in line with our agenda so the public opinion is secretly promoted by us. With very few exceptions, the media is already in our hands. Protocol number 7, folks.
That's already being fully accomplished.
Yes, sir. And
the one thing that they are going to have a problem with in this country that is unlike all the rest of them is there are old guys like us that remember self-determination, initiative, integrity, loyalty to one's country, and all those things. They're going to still have a problem with that because we are not ready to bow. And if I could get across to people, if you don't owe any bank anything, you're not going to be as easy to enslave, because that's where they're going to get everybody, is all these entitlements and all these loans and all these credit cards are just ways of putting shackles on your wrists and your ankles and carrying you to the smoky, if you want. The UN won't have a big problem if they can get everybody in that zone where you don't don't have the right to self-determination. And that's why, I've always been a fan of the Liberty Village, at least the concept, because it tends to aim us away from the enslavement of the banksters. If you don't owe a bank anything, you're going to be hard to handle. And I just think that's the bottom line right there.
I do have a
house that we still have a little bit of a note on a house. I'm trying to sell that house because once that's sold, I don't owe anybody anything.
I've got that. I put that house up on the chat room earlier this morning. I'll do it again. But it's a house in San Antonio. It's a beautiful home too. I was just looking at it. But
oh, you see the video on it? It's outstanding. It's almost 2,200 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bath with a really big pool. Kay and I have gone through and replaced almost all of the stuff, repainted it. There's no flooring in it because that's, whoever gets it's going to be able to put what they want to in it. It's going to be almost like a new house. And it's in a great location. I'm not going to keep carrying a note because of the thing that you and I just been talking about. They're not going to enslave me through a bank or a mortgage, but there are those out there, young people that aren't 71 years old like me. I'm just not in any shape to go through any of that mess to try to get in a home. I'm old enough to be out of that. I want to retire,
now I have something up on my website and my Facebook site, Free American 69, that I got from Oklahoma. And what they did in Oklahoma was create a food co-op. And what they're doing is putting people in the city together with the farmers. The farmers are growing organic foods, not genetically modified crap that the rats won't eat.
Right.
And they're selling it. You buy into the co-op for $50 a year, and basically you're getting everything it cost, plus probably 10% for handling. That means you can get the raw milk straight from the farmer, you can get the tomatoes from your neighbor, and I've always said that we could do the same thing in 1 square block in the city, right here in, let's say, Corpus Christi. And don't you think it's unique doing what I do, Jake, to have moved to the body of Christ?
Right. What you're talking about has other benefits that we don't want to leave hidden. If you plant a whole lot of plants, flowers, vegetables, whatever, around wherever you live, one of the things you're going to stem and stay away from is polluted air, because you will be producing literally your own oxygen by the plants. And if you don't poison the ground and let them grow naturally, and like you said, don't plow and fertilize and all that stuff, but just let them grow, you're producing your own oxygen. And with the co-op, the benefit there is unmistakably that you're going to get further away from poisoned crops and steroid-embedded livestock, meat, that sort of thing. And I know I sound like, an alarmist, but these things are being done, and that and added to the pharmaceutical industry is poisoning our whole society. And if you do what you're talking about, and what I'm talking about is plant your own plants, plant a lot of them so that you got oxygen produced for your family right there in your area, and do this co-op thing, and do a Liberty Village concept where you get a group together, not fragmentized, not fighting each other, but literally co-oping, so that when all this stuff starts coming apart, the economics fall down, or the powers that be want to try to take over this or that, it's going to be difficult for them to do that quickly, because if we're independent backyards or whatever. Well, when they bring, and Mike just came up with this, when they come up with the shackles or the bracelets, whatever you want to call them, and they want to put those on us to carry us to some camp somewhere, maybe somebody will say, I wish I had listened, wished I had backed off and downsized and not kept building up debt and poisoning myself, and now it's too late.
That's if we can grow our own food, produce our own oxygen, and with aquaponics you can certainly raise enough fish and vegetables to feed not only you but your neighbors. I'm considering working with a landscaping company, finding a landscaping company here to do the work, and for a nominal fee they will go in to the a neighborhood, 1 square block. I want to start with 1 square block and say, look, if you get in on this, you can do the work. You don't have to hire anybody, but if you don't have the time or you don't have the inclination, we've got a company here that'll do it for you. We want you to put a garden in your backyard. We want you to kick the neighborhood association out and put in solar and wind on your home, on the top of your house. We want to turn the backyard into food production. So if the trucks go down, if diesel gets too high, the trucks don't run, you and your neighbors aren't going to starve to death.
Right.
And we don't care what religion you are. I don't care what color you are. If you're working for the benefit of your block, your square block, if what you're doing is good for you, it's going to be good for your neighbors. If your neighbors don't want to do it, they don't have to take part in it, but they have to leave you alone. They can't use the neighborhood association to intimidate you. So you have to have enough people in your neighborhood to do this.
Right.
And you know, in Miami, I used to go out fishing. My thing was going out fishing. I love to go fishing. I'd take my 28-foot Hatteras out into the Gulf Stream and load the cockpit up with dolphin. That's mahi to you restaurant-oriented folks. We ain't eating flipper. We ain't eating flipper at all. But I would come back and sell it to the restaurants. They put it on your plate for $10 and called it mahi.
Right.
You know, that is being self-sufficient. I intend to do the same thing right here in Corpus Christi. I just got to go about 10 miles out. And if you do this in your neighborhood, and there's been perfect examples. It's been up on YouTube. This co-op in Oklahoma. That means you can buy your coffee and your tea and your sugar at wholesale, sell it to the members of the co-op for cost plus 10, and you all work together. The only thing I need, and I'd like for Heisenberg or somebody on the Revolution to put in the capture so we can capture all the emails, and I will restore libertyvillages.org. So it's just a registration site. If you've got land and you want somebody to work on it, here's how you can do it. If you've got a 20-acre farm and it's too much for you and your wife to handle because you don't have any kids, bring in some veterans. We got some veterans here that need a home, need a place, and they can help defend the place if everything falls apart. I think it's a viable way, and if you can grow your own food and generate your own power, you don't care if the electric lines go down. As long as they're up, you'll make some money.
Well, we're in what's known as Canadian economics, have been for over 50 years, and it is media generated. They're telling most of our people, well, we're in a recession or whatever the other one is.
Depression.
Yeah, depression, or it's going up, whatever that is. Inflation. They, of course, those terms are like blowing up a balloon. We're going to blow it up, and that's what the media does. They blow up the concept. We want to talk people into spending. We want to talk people into not spending, that sort of thing. Tied into that, of course, we know is the Federal Reserve, which is controlled by the group, the banking group in Europe, and not by us, but they fluctuate the interest rates to promote their puffed up economy, which is not even legitimate. But my point about that is that's what we're under now, and you and I both know that, and it's not arguable. That's what's going on. The thing that I believe is going to happen, I'm going to be prophetic here, and it doesn't take a genius to figure this out. They're pumping up the economy. They are using manufactured numbers, and they're not even accurately presented to say that, oh, we're winning the fight, and the economy's picking back up. And you look at the numbers at Wall Street and that sort of thing, and there's some indicators that would say, oh, yeah, maybe they're right. I believe that because the majority buys into that, and they don't see the forest for the trees, that it's going to cause a very short-term improvement in the economy. It's going to look like a nice ride. We're going to get out of this. Oh boy, we start spending that. I think that's going to happen. I think investing is going to happen. And they might as well be shipping it to China or pouring it down a hole, because the money's not worth anything, and the investments probably are not going to pay off. But I don't think you and I can stop them from doing it. I think that's going to happen. And I'm saying all that to say this, that if you're going to convert to a new kind of neighborhood, a co-op, a Liberty Village concept, we're going to take care of our little group and have a little neighborhood association, whatever you want to call it, but get the government out. That's going to be the first and bottom line of the whole thing, is get the government out of our business.
Well, I've got, I always have an agenda. I mean, I look at things from all angles, and I certainly know how to use my resources. Speaking of that, you're one of my resources. I've explained to people that it ain't the 501c3 charitable organizations you got to beware of. It's the ones that didn't write their own charter the way that you did. And I'd like for you to help me set up Liberty Villages as a co-op. Do all the paperwork for me, so we can, all we got to do is take your emails, plug them in, and get their membership fee. Because Timothy Bible College, Timothy.
This properly, like you want to set it up. Again, we're under the umbrella of the government trying to manipulate us, and it still is a legitimate, viable, non-profit association or non-profit approach to a corporation, and so far they've got to honor that. So you're absolutely right. Well, we should.
Well, I came up with this idea and this concept over 10 years ago. We should have done it then. And of course, I believe, being a conspiracy theorist who's pretty much 99% accurate about everything I tell you, that that's one of the reasons they tried to kill me. They were afraid of the Liberty Village concept taking on. But we can do that now. And one of the integral part of Liberty Village concept, now we're not talking about a commune here. If you got a ranch, put up low-cost structures for your veterans or the homeless, and return for them coming in and helping you work the land and defend your property. You can feed them and house them. And we can do that with
there's a lot of ways of doing this and making it work, and it doesn't always all have to look exactly the same. In fact, it should. We're a country supposedly of individualists.
that has always, you know, my nickname in all of the motorcycle clubs that I was in was Loner. You know, I don't follow the group well, you know, but I'll have the beer on the counter by the time you other 30 people get your ass into gear and get to the bar. The beer will be on the bar. And I don't want to run this. There are people that know how to do the farms that are better. And I've got a video up on my website of this Oklahoma co-op. They've got thousands of people now. They go once a week to the meeting place and they pick out their vegetables. You can place the orders, and that's where you'll have the coffee and the canned goods. We can go to Sam's Club and use our membership to buy all the staples that you need. You can stop shopping at the grocery stores. You can save money. We can buy it all at wholesale plus 10. I'm not looking to...
You know, we're not going to run out of food in this country. We still are producing huge amounts of food. The problem is twofold: being poisoned, and the prices are going to go up where nobody can afford it. So if you do what you're talking about, and you stock up ahead of time, you can hedge a lot of that.
That's right. That's exactly what I'm talking about here. And I wanted to use today to announce that I will be updating libertyvillages.org. And if I can get Revolution, the techs at Revolution, to help me set up that database will help Revolution. The Liberty Village will advertise for Revolution Radio. The people that tune in to Revolution Radio will have access and can join the co-op. You know, we'll have a minimal fee, $50 a year. Let's say $50 a year to be a member of this co-op. And we will find you non-GMO seeds, heritage seeds. We'll find you better sources of water, better sources of filter. We'll find you the chickens, you know, and you know, I want a few guidelines on here. I don't want to run a chicken factory like churches, like Tyson Foods. I don't want that. I want my chickens happy, laying eggs, because that's what they do. That we've got mobile chicken carts that we can do. We can do free range chicken and turkeys. There's all kinds of things we can do, and we can do it in your backyard, ladies and gentlemen. We will, under this charter, you can basically, the way we write it, you can tell the neighborhood association to go to hell. This is your property, and if you want to grow food rather than crabgrass, if they hassle you, we will find a lawyer that will take on the case pro bono, and will sue these bastards that are trying to interfere with you feeding your family, you protecting your family.
Hello?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay.
I just, occasionally my little microphone has to be unplugged and plugged back in. It starts rebelling. But you know, I years ago when I came up with the concept for Liberty Villages, it was because I got tired of telling you everything was going wrong. And with the protocols that I've shared with you today, that will be up at the top of my site, that tells you that everything that's going wrong today was planned years ago by the bankers. Some of them were Jews, you know. Some of them may have been Muslims. Some of them may have been Christians. I don't care. I don't care. You know, it's and I've said this 100 times, and I've got people that don't like it. Tough shit. You know, if you want to bang your head against that Wailing Wall, if you want to hunch a piece of stone, knock yourself out. Just I'll watch. Thank you. You want to?
I'm going to do. I'm going to spread that a little bit. I'm not out bashing Catholics. The people are sheep, and they're following a wrong shepherd, and I'm sorry, that's just a fact. If you go to Jeremiah 44, he very clearly says you are worshiping the Queen of Heaven and not God, and he's going to put you aside and say, you're not my people, I'm done with you. That's a fact.
What about the people that are worshiping Satan? I mean, we've got them. They're real. They're Satanists. They just had June 21st is their little Satanist revival where they sacrificed a small Christian child. Matter of fact, they busted some black guy trying to do it.
Went to a public school. They allowed that club to do their thing openly and tell Christians you can't wear the shirt for your church, or they tell gun enthusiasts you can't wear something that says you're for guns.
Right. No NRA shirt. And again, that's what I've said in this charter that you're putting together, hopefully this weekend. So I've got it Monday when I launch a website again. The Timothy Bible College and the Little Rd Schoolhouse are an integral part of this whole Liberty Village concept. If you got to take your children down the street to be babysit, then you're losing all your help, you're losing the training, you're losing control, you are putting them into a satanic, you're putting them into a school where God isn't welcome. And we wonder why we have school shootings. We wonder why 20 children could be massacred. And it's also, and I guarantee you that every home that has Liberty Village in it, that has Little Rd Schoolhouse and Timothy Bible College, will be able to defend their children and their home with the help of their neighbors. We're not talking about militia groups. We're not talking about gangs. We're not talking about terrorists that are eating the hearts of the soldiers that are trying to defend the country. And you've got Joe's...
Bringing back the same groups that started the country.
That's right. As Richard Kelly Hoskins said, the basis of every civilization is the self-sufficient family farm. And if you've got 25 houses on a block, a square block, all your backyards connect to each other. All you got to do is put a walkway through it. You don't have to isolate yourself from your neighbors. Get your neighbors to come over and help take their share of your crop. You can barter again. You know, hey man, I trade you some of those tomatoes for some of that pot you got there. If you're in Oklahoma, if you're in Colorado, where you can grow it. If you're in California, where you can grow it, that ought to be an integral part of all of our thing. It restores the soil. The hemp restores the soil. And, you know, that's another way, divide and conquer. Oh, he wants to smoke pot rather than take Valium. Really? That makes him a bad guy? Come on. This is the prison industrial complex. At work.
Well, I'm not going to smoke. That's not my thing. But this is real simple about that. If you can grow something on your property and you do not impose it on somebody else, nobody should tell you you can't.
One of the things I urge, once you get these communities together, abolish all the laws against victimless crimes. We don't need to set up slave labor in the form of prisons. We don't need to do that because somebody's got something in their pocket. That the Constitution and our Bill of Rights should take care of that.
Where is the Constitution now? You know, it's hard to find. Walk into a judicial setup, a courtroom. They do not use the Constitution. It's opinion. It's opinion of some guy in a black dress. That is what we're living on now as the law of the land, and it's just as illegal as it can be. It literally is allowing those guys in the black dresses to make law. Because if you use their opinion to decide a case, they've made the law. And that's unconstitutional.
That's right. And by the way, if we fought the War of 1812 to eliminate the 13th Amendment, to hide it, to make it disappear, which forbade and actually put teeth into the Constitution by denying anybody with a title of Esquire to be in our government. We've got entirely too many lawyers in government, and they aspire to be a judge so they can make money off of your misery. We got more people. We got 40 million people that have been arrested for marijuana or cocaine or something like that for what they had in their pocket, and it cost us $50,000 a year.
Turned the guy loose after 26 years that they found out, oops, we were wrong and had to give him $2.something million to live the rest of his life on because they had taken 26 years from him erroneously. That's awful. That's
the whole system that we've got. And I wrote books about this 45 years ago. They'll be coming out now about the United States when 4 states maintain the kind of programs they have today, and the other 46 states abolished all the laws against victimless crimes and let anybody do whatever they wanted to with their own body in the privacy of their own home.
Amen. That's kind of the way we started this thing, wasn't it?
I believe so. Somebody asked me about
You want me to give the price and all that on that house before we get off?
Yeah, absolutely. Do that and give Timothy Bible College. You got the. We don't have very many. A couple of minutes here. Go ahead, please, sir.
Yeah, it's 3563 Mystic Grove in San Antonio. It's almost 2,200 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, with a very large pool and in a great neighborhood, close to schools and HEB and everything else. Actually, walking distance to a lot of it, but it's a lovely neighborhood, and we want $140,000 for it, which is a steal. All of it in that area is going to $170,000 to $200,000, but I'm getting rid of it. I got to get my slate clean and get my wife out of San Antonio, so, and no brokers. Not going that route.
All right.
You can actually get me at www.timothybiblecollege.org.
All right, we're out of time here. I'll put that up, and Timothy Bible College is linked on my site. Thank you, Dr. Jake Wade.